Greetings and blessings. We all have a tendency to look outside of the self. My voice sounds funny. You know, you don't know what you sound like until you speak. Anyway, we have a tendency to be ever focused on what is out there. We want to find the truth, find the teacher, find the teaching, find understanding. And so we look and we look and we look. And if we're really hard-headed like me, we might even wind up with several college degrees before we begin to awaken to the fact that we could look forever and never find that which we're looking for, that which really deeply satisfies us, that part that is looking, judges everything as not quite enough, not quite right. We have moments when we're elevated and we seem to have touched something that really matters, but these don't generally last, although they can go on for weeks, months, or years. At some point, we find ourselves looking again. And I don't know, for me, what I've discovered is that we have to completely change the focus and turn it within. Turn that searchlight, that beam, those eyes inward. And then, only then, will we begin to make those connections that we're really seeking. That's been my discovery. I remember standing in a library. One of my degrees is in a 2-year degree. It's in general studies. They never could get me to care about a piece of paper called a degree. I just took whatever courses I wanted, whenever, wherever. And at some point, someone convinced me it would be a good idea, and so I put them together, and that was the title of it, General Studies. What I was studying at that time was astrology, looking for the depth of it, the deeper, whatever it had to offer, if anything. And I researched into some pretty deep tomes, and there was one, and I forget the author now, but I remember it was one I respected highly, a very thick book. And I read a line where it said, you could actually take one chart, one person, and you could literally spend a lifetime researching that one. And I remember I looked up, and the thought came to me, do I have time for this? How important is this relative to this lifetime and what I've come to accomplish? It was a turning point for me. It was a realization that was worth something. Now, I still went out and got those degrees, all right? So I'm not saying it was some big illumination, but those turning points are precious, and most of us, I would like to say all of us have them, but you know, I won't be so arrogant as to assume that I know anything about all of us. So I speak for myself. But since we're all one in the heart, you know, myself is thyself. But anyway, I won't get off on that. Now, I do this myself. I don't put myself above anybody. I find myself with a yearning, a hunger of some kind, looking for some new meat, some new substance. And I am blessed, though, because I take up my perch within heart, and that's where I abide. My inner teacher is there. And so I am guided. And I will find, and anyone will find, if they adopt this inner perspective of being in heart and of learning to observe without trying to fix anything, without judgment. If you're judging, you're not in heart. All right. Anyway, the whole universe is speaking to you individually. Everything talks. You don't walk by a tree, but what there's an interchange between you. Are you aware of it? The tree is. Most of us are stuck in the mind. And if you're walking through the forest, locked into your to-do list and all of that kind of thing, or carrying on a cell phone conversation, that is insane. You know, that's just a way to stay so distracted and not connected, which isn't to say we can't be in heart when we're on the cell phone. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we're not awake. We're distracted. And that's largely a mind thing. That's what I'm saying. And that we can make a choice to awaken. It's not that we've got to wait for something to touch us from out there. It's a choice. Okay, now, I get this really neat newsletter from Australia called The Seer, S-E-E-R. And in it, I cut and pasted one of their little sections. They give quotes and humor and various things. And this is a quote. I won't tell you who it's from until the end because it doesn't matter. It's a section of a talk that was given. And I found it so resonant and such a lovely way of marshaling words together. There are understandings that are, in some way, they're universal. And this person who's speaking has been resident in very deep spaces for quite some time. It's called an inner revolution. The enlightenment I speak of is not simply a realization, not simply the discovery of one's true nature. This discovery is just the beginning, the point of entry into an inner revolution. Realization does not guarantee this revolution. It simply makes it possible. What is this inner revolution? To begin with, revolution is not static. It is alive, ongoing, continuous. It cannot be grasped or made to fit into any conceptual model. Nor is there any path to this inner revolution, for it is neither predictable nor controllable and has a life all its own. This revolution is a breaking away from the old, repetitive, dead structures of thought and perception that humanity finds itself trapped in. Realization of the ultimate reality is a direct and sudden existential awakening to one's true nature that opens the door to the possibility of an inner revolution. Such a revolution requires an ongoing emptying out of the old structures of consciousness and the birth of a living and fluid intelligence. This intelligence restructures your entire being, body, mind, and perception. This intelligence cuts the mind free of its old structures that are rooted within the totality of human consciousness. If one cannot become free of the old conditioned structures of human consciousness, then one is still in a prison. Having an awakening to one's true nature does not necessarily mean that there will be an ongoing revolution in the way one perceives, acts, and responds to life. The moment of awakening shows us what is ultimately true and real, as well as revealing a deeper possibility in the way that life can be lived from an undivided and unconditioned state of being. But the moment of awakening does not guarantee this deeper possibility, as many who have experienced spiritual awakening can attest to. Awakening opens a door inside to a deep inner revolution, but it in no way guarantees, excuse me, I just lost my place. It in no way guarantees that it will take place. Whether this inner revolution takes place or not depends on many factors, but none more important and vital than an earnest and unambiguous intention for truth above and beyond all else. And I'll step out of this writing here to say, you recognize that in yourself. When we're warriors of truth, we know it. We have such an intensity and a depth of loyalty to what is true that we're willing to have anything and everything else slashed away from us. And we're unafraid because of, well, it's not an adoration of truth, because if that was the case, then what we're doing is we're saying truth is outside of the self. It's an object, and you have to have an eye to adore the object. It's not that. It's within. Okay, for truth above and beyond all else. This earnest intention toward truth is what all spiritual growth ultimately depends upon. I was trying to do a new way of going through this that wouldn't make the little clicks on the computer, so I apologize. It's not working so well. Okay. This earnest intention toward truth is what all spiritual growth ultimately depends upon. And see, so if you have it, you're fine. Be in heart. Especially when it transcends all personal preferences, agendas, and goals. This inner revolution is the awakening of an intelligence not born of the mind, but of an inner silence of mind, which alone has the ability to uproot all of the old structures of one's consciousness. Unless these structures are uprooted, there will be no creative thought, action, or response to life. Unless there is an inner revolution, nothing new and fresh can flower. Only the old, the repetitious, the conditioned will flower in the absence of this revolution. But our potential lies beyond the known, beyond the structures of the past, beyond anything humanity has established. Our potential is something that can flower only when we are no longer caught within the influence and limitations of the known. Beyond the realm of the mind, beyond the limitations of humanity's conditioned consciousness, lies that which can be called the sacred. And it is from the sacred that a new and fluid consciousness is born that wipes away the old and brings to life the flowering of a living and undivided expression of being. Such an expression is neither personal nor impersonal, neither spiritual nor worldly, but rather the flow and flowering of existence beyond all notions of self. So, let us understand that reality transcends all of our notions about reality. Reality is neither Christian, Hindu, Jewish, Advaita, Vedanta, nor Buddhist. It is neither dualistic nor non-dualistic, neither spiritual nor non-spiritual. We should come to know that there is more reality and sacredness in a blade of grass than in all of our thoughts and ideas about reality. When we perceive from an undivided consciousness, which I will step out and say is not possible through the 3D mind, we will find the sacred in every expression of life. We will find it in our teacup, in the summer breeze, in the brushing of our teeth, in each and every moment of living and dying. Therefore, we must leave the entire collection of conditioned thought behind and let ourselves be led by the inner thread of silence into the unknown, beyond where all paths end, to that place where we go innocently or not at all, not once, but continually. One must be willing to stand alone in the unknown, with no reference to the known or the past or any of one's conditioning. One must stand where no one has stood before, in complete nakedness, innocence, and humility. One must stand in that dark light, in that groundless embrace, unwavering and true to the reality beyond all self, not just for a moment, but forever without end. For then, that which is sacred, undivided, and whole is born within consciousness and begins to express itself. Adyashanti, 2008. I don't think I can improve upon that, and so, see you soon. I look forward to your comments.